Thanks for checking out Symphony on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.
You know, the issue of agitation started with Uwazuruike. And of course, even before Uwazuruike, our late Odumegwu Ojukwu, war was fought in this regard. And it was declared at the level of national government of no victor, no vanquish. I think after some years, Uwazuruike came up with MASSOB and started with a couple of agitations. And the key background of this agitation has always been marginalization of the Southeast. And went ahead to say in specific terms at the National Civil Service, where the Southeast people are not promoted like their counterparts from other regions, where development is not happening in Southeast, where appointments are not, or they are skewed against Southeast. And it must be on record that Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of IPOB, was a member of that MASSOB. I think he was second in command of the MASSOB. But let me place it on record that MASSOB was there during the regime of Obasanjo. And shortly before the end of the regime, Kanu pulled out and formed his own IPOB. And so IPOB was there during the time of Jonathan. And then they expanded their demands. I had intervened by way of holding meeting personally with Kanu in my state. I had intervened by way of holding meeting with all the commanders. And that was before the altercation they had with Kanu at Abia State. And we're going to find solutions before things escalated. Now, the ESN is also a product of IPOB. You can see how these things are being multiplied, but the point remains that from the onset of MASSOB, the then government did not address the matters properly. Because when your children cry, for any reason, you have to find out what is the problem, what are the reasons, and you engage them. I think those people were so badly ignored, and that shouldn't have been. And so what is happening today with regard to IPOB Southeast is not a product of this government per se, but it's a product of our national government that didn't address the matter from the onset. And ESN is also a child of necessity. How? We have been living with herders for hundreds of years with minor misunderstandings. Oh, you spoil my farm, you pay some compensation. I kill your cow, pay compensation. Nobody was hearing all that. It was an in-house thing. It was a brother thing. But with the crisis in Libya and some other West African countries, and the herders, foreign herders with AK-47 infiltrated the entire country. And so you begin to see the foreign herders killing our farmers, raping our farmers. And these foreign herders are in the forests beyond the control of any state government and security agencies. And then you now suddenly the IPOB said, look, we have formed Eastern Security Network to protect the farmers. Unfortunately, their abode is in the forest. The abode of the herders also in the forest. And so what do you expect? A very high level of insecurity within such locations. And so the situation in Southeast right now is a situation in which will I call it the non-violent approach of IPOB at the beginning is being hijacked by bandits, by cultists, by criminals. Why do I say so? A lot of violence that happen in Southeast now, the IPOB people will come and say, look, we are not violent. We are not the people killing security agencies, burning this thing. If you get any of such, you have to decisively deal with such people. So it's very confusing. Who are behind this insecurity in Southeast? What I will not deceive myself is to agree with anybody to say that foreign mercenaries have infiltrated Southeast. It's war propaganda. We are the ones killing ourselves. We are the ones burning down our police stations, our security agencies, killing INEC of buildings. And so we don't deceive ourselves if we want the problem to be solved. Are there rightful agitations? Yes. Has it turned violent? Yes, it's been hijacked. And that is the truth about the situation in Southeast today. And so the governors of Southeast appears to be unpopular with a very small section of the Southeast. Why? Because we've refused to toe their own, way of doing things. And the way of doing things is, war. And we do not want war. We don't want to secede. We want to belong to Nigeria, a fair Nigeria where justice, equity, and freedom, are a platform upon which we all exist as a people and for each of the regions. And so we don't want haters in Southeast to be killed because we also have our people scattered in all the regions. And we don't want the haters to violate the cultural values and the laws of the land. So it is peace that the Southeast governors have been preaching. And Ebubeagu that is frightening some people, especially politicians in Southeast, is nothing but, a translation of our vigilante, which we have always had, and which, backed up by law. But Ebubeagu is a kind of regional security corporation. It's a change of name. My state, we have, signed our Ebubeagu, into law, and it has come to stay. And it's to protect the people. Once you are not a criminal, you are safe in my state. But no matter what name you bear, whether you're banned or unbanned, and you're causing trouble in Southeast, Ebubeagu will address that together with security agencies. And so I have offered, along with Southeast governors, to our youth, present your demands in print and hand over to us. Some of them have merit. There's no region in this country today that, do not have one thing or the other against the federal government, against, one region or the other. But we can all sit down to discuss. And that's what we have demanded from our youth, whether banned or unbanned. So far you're from Southeast, let us see your demands. Let us see your grievances. Give us 6 months to engage the federal government to addressing all this. Because I believe in dialogue, and I believe that we can sit down as a people to discuss and find what our differences. And we can know our differences, and also we can together discuss how we can strengthen, our cooperation as a people. So that's where we are. And the Imo State governor has also signed his Ebubeagu. And we maybe expatiate if questions come in this direction in terms of the operation, the structure, the funding, and so on and so forth, and the powers of Ebubeagu. We've had, haters in our communities, dating over 100 years back. And we've always had minor quarrels settled by the village heads in those years. But that suddenly, it could be because of the failure of Libya and also crisis in some other West African countries. The haters that have been trained violently with AK-47 began to infiltrate, into Nigeria, and Southeast not an exception. And so these are the people that now, initiated a different dimension of herders farmers crisis. And that's where they began to kill, people. They began to rape the women, and then the people began to also react, back to them. This is how we came to the conclusion, in the sense that when some of them are arrested, and of course you should know better than me, they don't speak, even our language. You will see it, and of course, even the security agencies at the federal level, they have also attested to this fact that most of these things are perpetrated by this. Have they indoctrinated our local headers? Yes. I love what El-Rufai said sometime. He said that, the issue of paying ransom, and I support him on non-payment of ransom, that why would the header continue to, raise cattle for, their big men, where he can just do one single kidnap and then could get 20 million. And so you see that, tell me your friends, I'll tell you whom you are. And sometimes the local headers believe that the foreign headers are fighting for them. And why do I say so? When the attack came on Ebonyi State, all the headers that we've been doing everything to protect, they all left the state without any information to us. So that's how we came to that conclusion, and it's still subsisting. Presence of security men on the road. Let me take it in two dimensions. Before now, when this security was not there so much, we have always had this influx of security people at the roads, in Southeast. And I've asked questions. Why is it that you have these people in Southeast? So somebody told me not to mention the name. Say, look, when you stop a man in the north, he will be very patient with you. He said, let's go to the station. He will go to the station with you. He will sit down, and you will be tired, and you will release him. He will not give you any kobo. But that our people are so much in a haste, and even when they are right, they still want to, give you something so that you let them go. And that's the reason why, where commerce thrives, you will definitely see people around there, and this time security people. So that's what was happening. And even myself, most of the time before now, I was preaching to dismantle a lot of roadblocks, which happened before this insecurity increased. And sometimes I'm on the road, I had to stop and then release, vehicles that lined up, Do they extort money? Yes. Even their leaders are not saying that they don't, but it's been preached against. And I continue to tell them that one of the reasons of the answers is what people pass through, at the road. Nigerians are already traumatized, because of the economy, which is a global problem. And so stopping them, on the road unjustifiably is not the best. But as my position changed, yes. If arms are being transported, I cannot tell the security agencies how to do their work. And if security agencies are killed, I cannot tell them how to protect themselves. So that is the reason. And I think the moment this insecurity is over in Southeast, and I think it's a region apart from the Northeast, where security people are being killed, where police stations are burnt, where anarchy offices are burnt, is very unholy. And this is not the character and culture of our people. Ban on open grazing. The position of Southern governors, and what my brother and friend, the AGF, said. I may not want to compare, comment so much on what he said, because I read it on social media, but I would like to put the facts, the way it is. A lot of us do not understand what is this open grazing and what is closed grazing. If in my faith, my faith says that if your right hand will cause you, to sin, cut it off. That it's better to go to heaven with, a hand that is short of one than to go to hellfire. Now, from the beginning of age, our relationship with headers, the farmers and the headers. Don't forget, my father was a farmer all through. My mother was a farmer all through. I grew, I was trained, and all my brothers and sisters were all trained from the, farm activities. And so the situation, traditional situation has been that, we have cows that station in one, a farm settlement, so to say. And then after certain season, by reason of, shifting cultivation, they will now move. The farmer will come and say, please, I want you to move this cattle to this location, It's because they will fertilize the land, and the header will benefit because there will be grasses and the byproduct of farming activities on those places. And that's what, we've been having. We've never been having cattle that are roaming the roads. And I tell you that the asphalt road, the moment the sheet drops on the asphalt road, it makes it within seconds. And they go through this route and they pass through farms. In the southeast, you don't have cattle routes. But in the north, we have cattle routes. And so nobody is going to say ban, open grazing, in some areas in the north where there are cattle routes, where they move constitutionally from one point to the other. But in the south, there is no cattle route. And so for you to move from one point to the other, you have to move through farms. You have to move through, population, dense areas. And this is not very good. And that's what the southern governors, and of course Southeast in particular, are saying. Let's go back to our traditional method of relationship. We will no longer allow you to take your cattle from one local government to the other. And the implication is that these foreign headers also come in terms of, mobile headers with AK-47. So that is a source of conflict. So anybody that is saying that there should be no ban on this thing is, on the other hand, saying that, look, these killings will continue. And that's what gave birth to ESN. Whether we support it as governors, we don't. But the people tend to support it because of the foreign headers that pretend that they are raiding cattle and then they are killing. And in my own village, a white man was kidnapped in my village that's doing construction, by these foreign headers. So all that the southern governors are saying is, let us go back to our traditional kind of relationship. I don't support cattle to move from one state to the other.